Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. This session is part of our Driven Evidence, ADAS, Do You Think You Know All There Is to Know series. Today's topic is repair standards technicians don't know and why they matter. We'll take a practical look at how FMVSS, ISO, and UL standards directly impact repair work in the Bay, from calibration to compliance, and what that means for both technicians and consumers. Our goal is simple: to bridge the gap between regulations and real-world application, giving you the tools, knowledge, and confidence to recognize safe, compliant, and professional repairs. This material is intended for educational purposes and is provided strictly as technical guidance. It does not constitute legal advice or representation. All rights are reserved under Copyright Law 2024 and 2025 by DrivenEvidence. No part may be reproduced without written consent. The content is designed to outline standards, processes, and evidentiary practices that may inform, but not replace, formal legal strategy. My name is Pam Oakes, and today I'm going to outline basic required standards technicians must follow when it comes to automotive repairs, especially when ADAS applications are influenced. My background includes being a fourth-generation technician from the east side of Detroit with almost 40 years in the automotive industry. I hold multiple Automotive Service Excellence, also known as ASE certifications, including but not limited to Master Automotive, Medium, Heavy Truck, and Collision. Also served as an ASE ADAS subject matter expert, along with HVAC and engine repair, and sit on national review panels and industry board of directors positions. My career spans from shop ownership and training, literally thousands of technicians, to working with manufacturers and Tier 1 and 2 companies on autonomous vehicle projects, international ADAS calibration efforts, and a diesel engine international launch. Today, I share my experiences and professionalism as an international author, speaker, patent holder, expert witness, and industry advisor on advanced safety technologies. Let's get started. In the shop, there are three main sets of rules we work under: the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, the International Organization for Standardization, and Underwriters Laboratories. First, FMVSS. These are mandatory U.S. safety regulations that every vehicle manufacturer and repair facility must comply. Second, ISO standards. These are voluntary international benchmarks that often align with FMVSS and provide additional technical guidance. And finally, UL standards, independent safety testing that supports compliance when certifications overlap. Together, these ensure the parts we install and the repairs we perform meet the highest levels of safety and reliability. The Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards include 73 regulations, and that number continues to grow. They're grouped into three key areas. First, crash avoidance, 25 standards that focus on components helping drivers prevent accidents in first place. Second, crashworthiness, 27 standards that measure how well components protect occupants during an impact. And third, post-crash survivability, 5 standards that deal with vehicle structure and systems that reduce harm after a collision. Together, these categories set the framework for keeping vehicles and their occupants safe. When we look at FMVSS through the lens of ADAS, several standards stand out as especially relevant. FMVSS 101 covers controls and displays, the human-machine interface critical for ADAS warnings. FMVSS 111 made rear cameras mandatory in 2018, and FMVSS 114 ties into automated park and shift systems. Electronic stability control under FMVSS 126 is a foundation for lane keeping and automated braking. Standards like 135 for braking, 138 for TPMS, and 141 for electric vehicle sound alerts all connect directly to ADAS safety. Occupant protection under 208 And side impact standards 214 and 226 are also increasingly sensor-driven. Together, these show how ADAS is not just new tech, it's now tightly woven into federally required safety compliance. Some numbers, like 107, 112, 115, 121, 122, 123, 123A, 127, etc., were either rescinded, reserved, or replaced over the years. The current set in force is 73 standards. What this means for auto repair standards is that technicians have a direct responsibility to maintain FMVSS compliance. If a system covered by these standards is modified or repaired incorrectly, and that vehicle is later involved in an accident, both the shop and the technician could face legal liability. Simply put, failing to maintain compliance puts everyone at risk. By staying aware of FMVSS, technicians not only protect customer safety, but also safeguard the shop from costly legal consequences. When it comes to ADAS, ISO standards play a major role alongside FMVSS. There are about 15 ISO standards tied directly to ADAS, but the two most critical are ISO 26262 and ISO 21448. ISO 26262 sets the backbone for functional safety in road vehicles, defining the safety lifecycle, hazards, and integrity levels for systems like automated driving, while ISO 21448 complements ISO 26262, focusing on the safety of intended functionality. This means addressing hazards that come from limitations in sensors or algorithms, such as automatic emergency braking or lane keeping assist. Together, these frameworks ensure ADAS systems are designed and validated for real-world safety. By strict ADAS connection, 7 to 10 FMVSS, depending on how broadly we define ADAS-related. If we stick only to direct driver assistance functions, e.g. rear cameras, ESC, TPMS, pedestrian alert, the number is about 5 core standards, including FMVSS 111, 126, 135, 138, 141. Beyond ISO 26262 and ISO 21448, there are several other ISO standards that connect directly to ADAS. For higher-level automated driving, ISO 22737 defines the operating conditions for automated systems, while ISO TR 4804 provides guidelines for safe development. Cybersecurity is covered under ISO SAE 21434, ensuring ADAS and connected systems are protected from cyber attacks through risk assessment and mitigation strategies. And finally, ISO 15007 and ISO 15005 address driver monitoring and human-machine interaction, critical for how drivers respond to ADAS alerts and warnings. Together, these standards extend ADAS safety from system design to cybersecurity and driver usability. Roughly 15 plus ISO standards are directly tied to ADAS, with ISO 26262 and ISO 21448 being the most critical overarching frameworks. This slide highlights other ISO standards that directly influence ADAS performance. On the perception and sensing side, ISO 19206 sets test target specifications for automatic emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist dummies. ISO 22179 defines requirements for lane support systems, while ISO 34505, still in progress, will address sensor fusion and LiDAR validation for automated driving. In terms of performance standards, ISO 15622 sets procedures for adaptive cruise control, ISO 15623 and ISO 22839 cover forward collision warnings and mitigation. ISO 17361 defines lane departure warning performance, and ISO 11270 sets requirements for lane keeping assistance. Together, these standards ensure ADAS systems not only exist, but consistently perform as intended in real-world driving. In summary, functional safety and risk, ISO 26262, SODIF 21448, cybersecurity, ISO SAE 21434, ADAS features, ACC 15622, collision warning 15623, LDWS 17361, LCAS 11270, collision mitigation 22839, sensors and testing ISO 19206 series, ISO 22179, and driver interaction ISO 15007, ISO 15005. ISO 26262 is the long-standing safety standard for automotive, electrical, and electronic systems. It's designed to prevent hazards caused by random hardware failures and systematic software design faults. For technicians, the takeaway is clear. Always follow manufacturer directions for processes and the repair environment. Remember, the technician's name and shop is on the work order, which means they are directly responsible for making sure sensors are installed and calibrated to the tightest tolerances. In other words, safety and compliance start with your precision in the bay. UL, or Underwriters Laboratories, also plays a role in ADAS-related safety with 8 key standards. UL 4600 sets safety benchmarks for evaluating autonomous products, while UL 991 and UL 1998 address safety controls and programmable software. The UL 2900 series focuses on cybersecurity for connected systems, and UL 3030 applies to unmanned aircraft, increasingly relevant for sensor technology. On the electric vehicle side, UL 2580 and UL 2735 establish safety standards for batteries and energy storage systems. Finally, UL 4601 is an emerging framework for sensors. Together, these standards complement FMVSS and ISO by independently testing and verifying safety-critical technologies. The most directly ADAS-relevant UL standards are UL 4600, System-Level ADAS to Autonomous Evaluation, UL 991 and UL 1998, Safety of Electronic Controls and Software, UL 2900 series, Cybersecurity for ADAS Connectivity, and UL 2580, Battery Safety for Vehicles Supporting ADAS. In short, ISO standards define ADAS performance, FMVSS defines U.S. regulatory requirements, and UL standards validate safety, software, and cybersecurity of ADAS components and systems. As repair standards evolve, technician calibration will be directly included in future comprehensive standards and safety evidence chains. This means work in the shop bay becomes part of the documented validation process for advanced driver assistance and even full automation at levels 4 and 5. Proper calibration fills in the topography gaps that vehicles rely on for accurate sensing. And your role doesn't stop there. Documentation is critical. Recording process not only protects the shop and technician legally, but it also contributes data points that verify safety for the industry as a whole. If a consumer authorizes or accepts repairs that don't meet FMVSS standards, for example, using cheap aftermarket airbags, tampered seatbelt systems, or non-compliant lighting, they could unknowingly be driving a car that's technically unsafe and not road legal. In the event of a crash, insurance companies may dispute coverage if the vehicle was altered in a way that bypassed federal safety requirements. For consumers, the consequences of non-compliant repairs go far beyond poor workmanship. In serious cases, there can be criminal penalties against the shop technician if unsafe modifications contribute to an accident. Insurance companies may deny claims if the vehicle was repaired with non-standard parts or processes. Liability can also be shared between the shop, the technician, and even the vehicle owner. And in some situations, drivers may face additional criminal penalties tied to operating an unsafe vehicle. In short, non-compliance doesn't just put safety at risk, it puts legal and financial security at risk as well. For consumers, ignoring NHTSA recalls comes with serious consequences as well. A recall isn't optional. It's a federally mandated correction of a known safety defect. If an owner fails to act on a recall and that defect contributes to an accident, they can be held legally liable. Beyond safety risks, this can also impact insurance coverage and crash compensation. Simply put, responding to recalls isn't just about fixing the car. It's about protecting yourself from liability. For consumers, FMVSS isn't just about safety. It also creates legal responsibilities for those who drive the more than 280 plus millions vehicles on the road. If a repair doesn't meet FMVSS standards, owners can face insurance disputes, be pulled into lawsuits, and even shoulder financial liabilities tied to an accident. Compliance protects more than the vehicle. It protects the consumer's legal and financial well-being. For consumers, deliberately removing or disabling safety systems like ADAS features, catalytic converters, or other mandated components isn't just risky, it's illegal. If discovered, these modifications can expose the vehicle owner to significant fines and penalties. What might seem like a shortcut or cost savings up front can quickly turn into a serious legal and financial problem. As we've seen today, repair standards aren't just checkboxes. They're the backbone of safety, liability protection, and customer trust. For technicians, understanding and applying FMVSS, ISO, and UL standards means more than compliance. It means protecting lives, protecting your shop, and protecting the technician in the bay. At DrivenEvidence, our mission is to bridge the gap between regulations, real-world repair work, and ADAS calibration challenges. Through training, expert insight, and evidence-based practices, we help technicians and shops stay ahead of the curve. And those who choose otherwise assist legal entities bring justice to their clients. So the question is, do you think you know all there is to know? Let DrivenEvidence be your guide to what's next in automotive safety and repair standards. Join us for more automotive standards education on our webpage, DrivenEvidence.com.